We're going to make a video about the Joshua Brown individual. For those that don't know, I made a video last Friday and I spoke about the Amber Guyger case, and now I'm going to expose this case. I'm probably the only person on YouTube that has a brain, sadly, and can think and not be deceived by the facts of this case. So, for those that don't know,
multi-state manhunt underway to track down Joshua Brown's alleged killer. Police identifying Thaddeus Green as the prime suspect, still on the run.
For those that don't know, that's what's going on. Someone killed this individual. I'm going to expose him though, and I'm going to expose him right now. I'm going to expose him as a fraud, and yeah, you just heard me right. I'm going to expose this guy right here as a fraud. For everybody that's defending him, I'm going to expose him as a fraud. I rest my case. Look at this. Hey, I've got a record too, so I ain't the most perfect person in the world. I told you. I saw it coming. Look at that. Entrepreneur. Yeah, whatever. That's not an entrepreneur. If you look at his face, he looks like, a typical homeboy, a typical thug, and a lowlife. The guy ain't nobody, okay? Stop saying Joshua Brown and like he's somebody. He's not a black lawyer, a black, news reporter. Can this guy be a news reporter? No. I could be a news reporter before he could. And I've got a record. I don't wear tattoos. I don't wear piercings and all that. I'm not Christ himself. I'm not Mr. Perfect. I've got many problems and stuff that I, got to work on. But goodness, look at this guy. This guy's a nobody.
After being arrested for drugs, he says, "I am praying when that day comes and I am discharged, that I can put the whole series of events behind me and start off on a clean path." But records show he continued a life of crime. Last year, he was shot at a strip club. A man with Brown was shot and killed, but police believe he was the target. Attorney Lee Merrick represents Brown's family and now admits Brown was hesitant to testify in the Amber Guyger trial, not because of that case, but because people were after him.
He led people to believe that he had left Dallas. And so testifying in the trial says, no, I actually am.
Let me stop there. And I'm going to credit the Dallas News, whoever owned that video. But let me stop there. Really? The guy's garbage. Okay? All right? He's crap. He's trash. That's what he is. He's a piece of junk. Let me tell you what's going on here. Amber Guyger deals with the black drug dealers, and their job is to hide the stash. When they did the search warrant of his house, they found all kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff. So what I like to see here is testimony. Can I get the testimony of Joshua Brown? Look at his face. Look at his face. The guy's, he doesn't have the face of a news reporter, clean cut black man. He just don't have the face. Now this is when he's in court and he's giving testimony. And if I'm going to go ahead and fast forward. Now he's pacing back and forth in his chair, meaning he has no values for himself. Why is he pacing back and forth? It doesn't make any sense. He's pacing back and forth. And so I'm looking at this guy like, he doesn't have any values or home training. He doesn't have any values or home training. He's moving back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. He's got tattoos on. He's got his head down like he's some immature little kid. And it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense that somebody like that would be called a hero. You know what I'm saying? it doesn't make any sense that somebody like that would be called, oh, he's one of our Martin Luther Kings or Malcolm X's or somebody. The guy's a lowlife. He's trash. He was doing drugs with her. So let's go over here to the DVZ shirt. I'm a fan of that Enemy series. I see what's going on here. He walked out and he wore that shirt because he didn't want anybody to know he was going to court. He figured if he wore that shirt and he didn't wear the proper uniform, he would be okay. Nobody would think he would be going to court. He was being followed by people. He probably owed another drug dealer money and some other situation. Amber was doing business with these guys because she's dirty. Her job was to have them hold her money. And I believe that Botham was a little bit cleaner than this guy right here, obviously. But he was dirty and he was stealing her money. Remember, a lot of people were witnesses to the noise or whatever was going on that day and the shooting. And here's another person right here named Bunny. She's not dead. She's the one that took the video. She's the one that got the video. For those that don't know, this woman right here got the video of Amber walking back and forth. Why isn't she dead? Okay, so, they don't want you to know the real secret about this. They don't want you to know that this guy is doing drugs. He was a lowlife, a piece of immature trash. He can't grow up. He looks like he's 14 and still going through puberty. And there is a conspiracy. Amber is doing business, not just Amber. The Dallas Police Department is doing business with these crooks. And in the process of doing business with these crooks, they make them not like undercovers, but informants. They're made into informants. And that's exactly what it is. And you can see the police here gives an interview of what happens. And, of course, he's not going to tell you the truth because he's a liar. He's not going to tell you everything. I'm going to tell you what they're hiding. And that's Josh Brown is an informant to get to Botham John to find out what he's doing. Hey, buddy, let's smoke a little weed. And yeah, homeboy. And because Botham John is a pimp. He's a non-criminal pimp. I mean, he never got caught doing his weed or crack cocaine or whatever drugs he was up to. There's many people out there. This guy could be a drug dealer. He has a badge and a gun. So, you don't know that. Most of the Hollywood actors, they use every drug in the book, and they're the biggest scumbags in the world. The Hollywood actors, That's why they want every drug to be illegal so they can rule the world from Hollywood. But I'm just telling you, I believe they was on to Botham, that he was up to no good, and they had many informants telling you what was going on. Amber was selling drugs to people around the city with her badge in her car. And she had certain people hold the drugs for her. Well, she got mad. She came and she got home tired and was high on crystal meth and went to argue with Botham. And either he was already dead when she got there because Josh Brown killed him or some other police officer killed him or an undercover killed him or she killed him. But for what I believe, and I had in the previous video, I think an undercover cop had already killed Botham John. And when she got there, she had to take the credit for the shooting because somebody shot him. He had thousands of dollars in the bank that's missing that he stole. And it's a lot of unexplained things, but I'm confident that Josh Brown is an informant. It's where, for those that don't know, an informant is a snitch. He had to be a snitch. In fact, the judge even said that, I'm surprised you made it here. You know what the judge meant by that? It's because when you're subpoenaed to testify, you have to show up or you have to respond to the subpoena and, call that officer and tell him you're going to be there. Most likely he didn't call back or whatever, the process is, like a process server. And he didn't follow that. And so they didn't think he was going to be there. He showed up in that Dragon Ball Z uniform so he could fool the people that were walking after him. He knows how you're supposed to dress when you go to court. He's an entrepreneur. He knows how to do business deals. But it's a shame that we got to stop this. I'm a black man, and look at that. Look at these people here. Hold up visuals for this lowlife who is not didn't amount to anything. He does not own all the timeshares. He was managing those facilities. And so, me as an independent, I don't like conservatives that much or liberals. I just kind of stay in my own, free thinking mind, and I figure these things out. I solved this case right after the whole verdict. I says no way, or the sentencing. I knew when I saw the hug that it was a staged event. It didn't make any sense, and I have it on mute here because, I don't want to disrupt this little visual thing they got going. I want you to see, how silly they look. This case was a fraud. It was a setup. Botham Jean was dirty. So was Amber. Amber had the goods to go and put people in jail and arrest. She became a cop just to be dirty. She just figured she would use educated black men who had basic college degrees, because these men down here, these are what you call extreme lowlifes. They are the bottom of they're the lowest form of you can get. These guys are what you call extreme lowlifes. They're just complete trash. That's what they are. They probably even have a GED. They probably couldn't even read and complete a sentence properly. While this guy, Josh Brown, went to college, and he did graduate from college, but he was still one of those hood rat college kind of people. If you've ever been to some of the, it don't really matter the race, but if you ever go to college, you'll see parties and bad people that are still on campus dealing drugs and doing bad things, and some of them still can do their work, come and pass. Then there's some that drop out and they can't pass. It's like that in high school. And so they got to stop saying, look at this guy, Josh Brown, he's somebody. The guy is crap. And Amber and the Dallas Police Department had a bunch of undercovers and informants that they were dealing drugs with. Sometimes they deal drugs, sometimes they double deal. They're on both sides of the fence. And since Amber was working both sides of the fence, guess what she did? She has to go down for it now. They said, now, why did you go and do that, Amber? What, were you having a relationship with this guy, a sexual? She's like, oh, of course no, because she's not really don't go that route. But she made an exception for Botham because he was her drug partner. And maybe the brother come by, Botham's younger brother come by, and she met him and might have had a relationship with him also sexually. But I do know that she was in a relationship, business relationship, with Botham Jean. At the same time that was going on, the Dallas PD was watching him. So the FBI. That's the reason why they brought this guy in, his neighbor, to befriend him, to get more information he can on him. And he probably just decided he wasn't going to do it, or he wasn't going to play along with them. And they like, listen, we got dirt on you. You're selling drugs. You got a drug operation going across. He married a woman who was an illegal and brought her here and tried to scheme with that. He got caught and she got sent back. For those that don't know, he married a French woman. Let me see if I find his wife here. He married a French woman who was sent back overseas. That's not the one right here. Maybe that is her. But he married a French woman who was sent back overseas. And he's just not a good person. We got to stop crediting him like I got to give it to him. Even Botham Jane looks way more nicer, fit to be a school principal or a teacher. And Joshua Brown don't look like a teacher. He don't look like a preacher of a church. Botham Jean does. But Botham Jean was dirty. He was on both sides, kind of. And his job was to hold all the cash, send it to the Swiss banks. He had lots of experience with bank accounts. And accountants, they know banks around the world, and if they're very clever enough, they could set up accounts in other people's names so that you can leave the country, start your whole new life, and go underground, But I made that video, and everybody trashed me. Everybody mocked me for making the first video, saying, "Oh, how do I know that?" And am I a sellout or no? When I saw that judge, hug that defendant in a court of law, I knew then it didn't make any sense. Okay, this is the judge giving an interview claiming that she just wants to hug her and all this. But when I saw this right here, when I saw a judge give a person, this boy right here, say what he said and the way he's looking, he's nervous. He knows that this is unacceptable. I made the first video. I knew I saw something I didn't like. It didn't make any sense to me. I saw a staged event. Why was it staged? That's because there were undercover cops who threatened the judge's life and told that judge, hey, this is what you're going to say. This is how it's going to be. And if you go off script, we know where you're at. That's exactly what they did. And the judge gave that interview and lied to us again. There's a picture of his apartment there, Botham Jean's apartment. And we know that Josh Brown lived next door. But Josh Brown is no good. But let's get it out there. Every video right now is praising him. They're giving him more praise than Botham. I think that Botham was the money guy. That's all. He was dirty also. He was the money guy. He was pocketing their money that they were stealing. They went to him for that. And they can't touch him now because they know that it's gonna lead back to all Dallas cops. So they call him up. They tell Amber, just take the fall. We got you. You gotta understand, Amber have connections to all those unions, and those unions will put up thousands and $100,000 in her commissary if she spends 10 years. They'll give her free food for life. She's not worried about it. They told her, don't worry about it. Just take the fall. You get fired, we'll give you some money when you get out. Let you start a new life. You're still young. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly what they told her. And that's what's going on here. And they called this guy, this lowlife, and this loser, they made him testify. You understand? They made him testify. They didn't make the other woman testify and other neighbors testify because they ran and got out of there. The first account was let me in, bang on the door. All those people packed their bags and they moved. No one yanked them back there and said testify. But they suspiciously yanked him back there because he was under their radar. He was an informant already. He was already a snitch. Informants, what they do is they also sell drugs for cops, and in return, they don't get prosecuted. They told him, hey, we're going to dump you off high and dry, and we're going to put you in jail for XX other stuff. Not just put you in jail for not testifying. They were going to put dirt on him. They already had dirt on him. His job was to smoke weed with both of them and get information on him and find out what's going on. Find out what he's doing with that money. What has he done with all their money, with all their dirty money? You could say they have it in the evidence room. Not necessarily. Some of those cops want to be able to put money invested overseas in other countries off the records. And this guy was pocketing it. Notice they won't ever show Botham Jean's car because he probably has a pimp car with chrome rims and decked out with everything, a BMW, Mercedes. We don't know what he had because we know he had lots of money to live in that apartment. And that $40,000 a year job wasn't cutting it. And the same with this guy right here. They don't show that he had an income, a steady income, because he didn't. He was in the drug business, but he was on the police payroll. They just had to put Amber to throw it all at her and tip the judge off that the undercover cops had already killed him. But she has a methamphetamine habit, and she's been dealing drugs also. And they're secretly getting her on the drug case using the murder case because drug trafficking, I don't care if it's pills, marijuana, methamphetamines, drug trafficking in the United States is an automatic life sentence. Because what they do is they get you on so many other charges federally and everything. It's almost better to say I accidentally shot somebody and cross their fingers with that. So they told her what to do. It was a scripted trial. And this guy got off script. He walked in with that shirt on because he was going to get shot. I believe he was probably going to get shot before he made it to court. However, he walked in that uniform, fooling people. He walked out of his house pretending like he wasn't going to go. And that's when he ended up there. And the judge made a fancy comment about, basically the judge said, I'm surprised that you made it here. Because he wasn't supposed to make it here. And with that, it just shows with that, this case is more and more of a hoax. They want to start something. And this is how they started using low lives again. Use somebody that's got value, value their life, value themselves. Tattoos all on his body and arms and gang signs. He ain't got no value in life. He's not a black news reporter. Okay? He is not somebody of importance. You understand what I'm saying? I wish I could show you what a person looks like. A person looks like who let me show you what a black news reporter looks like. Let me show you what we should be in uproar over. Let me show you what he should look like. Exactly. That's what you're supposed to burn down a town over. Let the police officer go and kill this man right here and go in the wrong apartment and shoot the wrong guy. There needs to be hell to pay. Exactly. Botham Jean was probably about 65% of this guy right here. 65%. Josh Brown, 10%. Josh Brown is garbage. That's what he is. He's a piece of junk. Botham Jean was sort of like this guy here. Sort of. He was sort of like, these black news reporters, black executives of companies. He was sort of like that, but he was dealing dirty, and the undercovers were watching. They had to figure out how to break him. Amber was doing drugs since Amber was in a relationship with him, secret relationship going on between those two. They couldn't really get to him as much, so they used him. That's exactly what's going on now. Everything I'm saying is coming true. I knew whatever it was drug related. They used him as a double agent and told him, you got to come to court. Once he leaves court, he realized that he don't have any money. That whole BS about he's a timeshare or whatever. He might be a co-owner of a timeshare. We don't know the deal. We don't know how much money he has. He's not telling us. We know the cops found drugs in his apartment complex. And I can't stand the police. I believe it. I've been confident. I even called it. I said, they're all doing drugs. They looked the other way as long as he helped them. He didn't say the right things on the stand. They wanted him to say the right things. Whatever it is that they wanted him to say, they just wanted him to say the right things. And he didn't say what they wanted. So they decided to set up a drug deal, call some guys in, the typical guys that he did drugs with already. He had already did drugs with these three guys. Okay, so they had already known those guys because he was an informant. They just called those guys back and say, hey, he got some more dope. He wants to deal with you. Okay, I'll be there. Hold up. They show up there and there's a fifth and a sixth person that they have not identified yet. They just claim it was 3 suspects. No, there was like 4 or 5 people. That's because one of those was an undercover cop to ensure everything went down. He ran the other way when the guy got shot, or he's the one that shot him and set everything up. But either way, Josh Brown is a parasite to the black community. He was no angel. And I called it from the start. And please pass this video around. And more is going to come out. Eventually, the FBI is going to have to take this case. Maybe even a DA. But for right now, I'm going to say it's at the FBI is going to have to step in now. It's getting out of hand. Who's going to get murdered next? Is she going to get a new trial? Who's going to get hugged next? Really? All those hugs, and now she's going to get a new trial with the star witness gone. And even at that new trial, it's pointless, because if he's gone, it's going to have to come out that Amber and somebody's involved in drugs. I'll be surprised if she just asked for a new sentence, file an appeal and say she wants 5 years or 3 years, because it's silly to get a new trial with this drug evidence now coming into play. People got to start using their heads. And they're not. And these people right here holding this visual, they're not using their heads. They're too stupid to think for themselves. And they pick on guys like me because they know I can think for myself. I can't be a Democrat, Republican. I be an independent, free thinker that I see right through the case. I'm the one that made that video Thursday night, and instantly, the next day, the dude's dead. Now they're saying there's drugs, just like a psychic. And no, I'm not a psychic, but just like one, I predicted it and told you what was going on. Based on my nearly 38 years of living, I'm not a fool. I know these guys were dirty. I know that Botham Jean was dirty. He looks like a pimp. He looks like a certified pimp. Let's go to Botham Jean here. And so he looks like a pimp. He looks like a certified pimp. Right now, there's really no more pictures. It's a picture of him right there, but he looks like a guy that's, for the most part, Botham Jean was a nice individual. Let me get a photo of him. So for the most part, Botham Jean was a very nice individual. I'm gonna give him that. I'm gonna say that he was a nice individual. But I believe that behind that smile is another life that you don't know about. You can go to my Facebook page and see little boy pictures of me, and you can see me smiling in pictures. But I have my little things that you don't know about, my little guy stuff that you don't know about. Imperfect like anybody else. So we just can't assume he's this perfect Christ-like angel that doesn't have any skeletons in his closet. And I believe those skeletons was he likes to smoke weed. We already know he likes to smoke weed. So if he can do that, what else is he capable of doing? Don't sit here and say weed is just weed, it's his business. Technically, smoking is not right. Even cigarettes, which is legal, is still more bad for your health, but it's still defiling your body, right? So if he's able to smoke weed, he may be able to snort crack cocaine. We don't know. What we do know is that he had some kind of business drug relationship with Amber. And Amber either shot him over that, or undercover cop or Josh Brown shot him. Somebody shot him and he was already dead when they got to the scene. Or dying or dead or whatever's going on. And I believe that there's a war in the Dallas Police Department over this situation. There's a big war going on because they don't want you to know the truth. They've got 3 separate unions right now. They're racially divided. So it could have been these racial groups of cops set this all up, and these racial groups of cops come in there and discover it's just a mess. Everything's a mess right now in America. It's getting ready to unfold. Bad things are getting ready to go down. Hopefully it don't get too out of hand. Hopefully she just come clean and say she can stop this right now. She can stop it and say, I was just doing bad and I was doing drugs and I'm sorry for what I did, and put a stop to this. Because it's only going to get worse. The conspiracies are only going to get worse until the real truth comes out. And I believe I'm the closest person to the real truth. So we'll do a quick recap here based on the other video that I made. And the recap / conclusion is that Botham and Amber were doing drugs. He's supposed to hide some of her money and possibly drugs. He would use other people on the outside. I had said this in the other video. He used other people on the outside to potentially hold some of the drugs for him, who might have spent the money or sold the drugs or put it in different places and hid it. And in the process, after both of them died, this guy, he ran. He got another apartment. He was killed at a new apartment, by the way. But staying on my conclusion is that the brother had come visit his brother sometimes, and he saw Amber there, and they smoked weed together. He probably even had sex with her. That hug is very suspicious. And after Amber goes to his apartment to argue with him over the drugs, someone either beat him to it, or he had already called or texted her and told her in so many words that somebody was coming to get him about the drugs. Whatever the case may be, it was involving drugs, and he died over that. And now this other guy who was a key witness, he had been involved in that drugs in that same apartment complex. And he died over that. Put 2 and 2 together. Use your heads. Think for yourselves. Be a free thinker. Thanks for watching, and pass this video on.